Hi again, everyone, and welcome to our, I guess we're calling this our Studio B Lounge. That's what I was telling Dr. Adipour, the director of the Douglas County Health Department, and another in line of our Facebook conversation here over COVID-19. So for the next 45 minutes, we will be taking your questions. We are getting some that are coming in already. A lot of good questions so far. First, we would have been on a couple minutes ago, but you got a call from the governor. She goes, I don't delay this very often, but this is one of those calls. And I don't want to get into the personal part of the call, but he is concerned, like you are. Today we had what, the biggest daily increase we've ever had in Douglas County?
We did, Brian, and you know, it makes me feel good that the governor is concerned about it too, as concerned as I am. So he's wondering, his question was, first of all, how come, what's unusual about this? I was able to share with him that there was about 80 tests in there that came from a mass testing event that the facility had, and so we were able to communicate. It is so good that you look at the data every day and try to determine why are we seeing these fluctuations.
So walk me through, why would a mass testing event change the dynamics? What are you looking for inside the science of that?
You know, a mass testing event, by mass testing, I mean testing in a certain facility.
Okay.
So the facility had an outbreak, they knew, and they, instead
So it could have been a packing plant, a nursing home.
Exactly.
One of these clusters.
Exactly. So what we are doing, or what is being done then, the facility, may long-term care or whatever, food processing, they test everyone to make determinations and policies. What do we need to do? Who do we need to isolate? Who do we not need to let go back into the community again? So that's really important to keep that outbreak under control. If you don't do it that way and you just go on and on, you have one case another day, you then have three more cases. So you try to do that as quickly as possible. It doesn't spread then neither into households when these people go home or so on. So identifying your cases at one time as early as possible is really extremely important. So I appreciate that when facilities are going ahead and doing that.
That's why we often hear when we're doing more testing, a lot of cities have seen bigger numbers because they've been doing the testing. Now that doesn't tell the full story, right? So when you look at our biggest daily increase of positive tests and you look at a mass testing area, just from talking to you and other folks, the idea that you're trying to figure out is how infectious are we, right? What is the rate for somebody being positive for every test you do? So where do we stand in that grouping where we had so many cases?
Today, if we take out that special testing, we are at 10%. In general, last week and the week before, if we look at it across the week, we were at around 14%. 14% in the 11.7%, I think, last week. So those are good numbers, but it also has to do that we are doing more testing in this community. Actually, today, when I look at the number of tests, it is the highest number of tests that we have ever done that were reported to us.
Are we having a problem, John? Are we not going out?
Oh, we are.
Okay. All right. I see some technical people running around in the background. I'm like, hopefully people are hearing what you're saying. So we were at a point where we had a few weeks ago in that 20% plus range of infection rate, right? And
Correct.
so this one, even though we had a really high number, it's still, it's in relative perspective that only 1 in 10 that you're testing are being positive.
That's right. And to me, it is really important to increase testing, because what you are doing with increasing testing, you potentially are catching asymptomatic individuals too. So you can take them out immediately. They are not able to transmit the virus to somebody else. So I feel, actually today, in this week, I feel much more comfortable because we had Test Nebraska has now opened another site just for 3 days at the College of St. Mary's. We have National Guard doing extra testing last week and this week and so on. So I feel much better about the number of test opportunities that there are in Douglas County.
Meaning we might be getting a better scope on the handle, how broad it is, who has it, who doesn't?
You know, I looked at, actually, this may be interesting for all of us. I looked at clusters today. How many clusters do we have? Meaning more than 2 people we could connect to a single
And I think
event.
last week you said there were more than 24
Yes,
clusters.
and we have 92 clusters from the beginning. Now, some of those clusters, we hadn't had new cases for the last 14 days. So that to me means, yes, they have been able to be in control. No new cases, I put those aside. But
Meaning
still,
you've got control of the cluster.
Yes.
You still count it overall, but you believe you've got a handle on it.
But exactly, no new cases, and that's important for us to know. So the measures that they have put in place have actually worked. You know, that's what that tells us. But from the other thing, we still have a lot of more than 20 clusters in food processing industries. We have clusters in long-term care, outbreaks in long-term care facilities. And now we are starting to see, and I hope that this is not the beginning of something, we are starting to see small outbreaks in the community that can be related to a store. We have 8 outbreaks that can be related to specific restaurants. And that is, I think, a measure now of us now loosening up some of those restrictions.
And that's 2 or more, right?
That's 2 or more.
At what point does the public find out when it's an issue at a particular place?
It really depends. You know, we always like to say, first of all, we like the restaurant or the place, wherever that may be, maybe a manufacturing company or something. We like them to come forward to it. It's not so much for us. However, if it is like we had in the beginning, where we used to say, you know, there was somebody positive at this and that store.
Creighton game, they went here, and here.
If you have shopped there, if you have been there, just watch your symptoms now. I think we will do that again as soon as we have more information available.
So restaurants is a cluster, and they just really started opening here these last 2 weeks. So you're right, that is a concern. What other types of places? Churches.
We have 3 churches now where there are some individuals ill. And stores, by that I mean nursery stores, construction companies. That was, to me, a little bit an unusual occurrence too.
Yeah, because oftentimes you're kind of separated.
Or you're outside.
And you're outside.
Yeah.
I have a question here on Facebook that's sort of connected to this. Have you seen any cases connected to voting in person for the primary? I know we had record numbers of people who voted by mail, but have there been any cases?
Not as I can see up to now, you know, but that does not mean that in the future, maybe a little bit later, when we do all these interviews, because, you know, sometimes the first time you may say, yeah, I've been here and there, but then people call back and say, yeah, but, you know, I just want you to know I've also been there. And so if 2 of them are saying it, that's how we are putting our thoughts together. So I have not heard anything about voting.
And 3 churches, you said, too, right?
Yeah.
Are they big churches? Have you gone far enough yet?
They are small churches, and, you know.
What is your advice after seeing this boost in clusters?
My advice is very simple. Take these messages serious about social distancing, about wearing a mask.
Yep, I got mine here.
About hand washing, small aggregation of groups only. I mean, just do not bring groups from different households together. So all those things are really important. The virus hasn't gone away just because the sun is out and the temperature is high. It's still there. It's still in our community. And, you know, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is. The safest way is to stay home. Stay home with in your household. But we know that can't go on. So we need to increase potentially our risk. And so we are going outside. The weather is nice. So let's start to think about what risk am I willing to take to go on a bike ride by myself? It's pretty safe. But to go outside in a big gathering, no. Even with the mask, you know, social distancing is going to be very difficult. Let's go to a bar or something. We heard in the newspaper where...
How about Lake of the Ozarks?
Yes, absolutely not. However, like let's say you have a pool or you have a grill in the backyard and you want to grill out with your family, you may want to invite another friend, but you really know that they are also protecting themselves and they are as concerned about safety as you are, then yes, I think you can bring them together. But those precautions are so important now. And then, you know, the next level is, okay, so you are saying I should go by myself. Now can I bring some small groups together? And still, I think the highest risk is indoor with a group of friends around. And then, Brian, if you mix alcohol with that, that's even more risky, because then you raise your voice. What does it do? Your voice is getting the virus out there should you be infected. You are a little bit less careful of getting close to people. So let us really think about that.